Session resumed.
Mr. President, as we resume the second reading of House Bill 6215 under Committee Report 167, under the agenda this morning are the budgets of the following departments and its agencies: the Office of the President, the DSWD, Congress of the Philippines, DepEd, COMELEC, Budgetary Support to Government Corporations, PCOO, DILG, Department of Health, and the Autonomous Region Muslim Mindanao budget, Mr. President. So, may we start off with the budget of the Office of the President and recognize the sponsor, Senator Lauren Legarda, for the presentation.
We recognize a good sponsor, Senator Lauren Legarda.
Mr. President, the budget of the Office of the President, the Senate version is 6,031,010.
May we recognize the Minority Leader for a few questions on the budget.
Senator Franklin Drilon is recognized.
And just to inform the body that there's a net decrease in the OP budget of 14.14 billion in the NEP of 2018 and in the GAA of 2017, Mr. President.
Just a clarification, if the sponsor will yield the floor.
Yes, Mr. President.
The level in the GAB is the same as the level in the NEP for the Office of the President.
Yes, Mr. President.
Mr. President, traditionally we in the chamber do not raise issues on the budget of the Office of the President out of interdepartmental courtesy. And therefore, we would have no to a motion that the budget of the Office of the President be submitted for the consideration of the plenary without any further question.
I appreciate that motion of the Minority Leader. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. With that, I move that the Office of the President's budget be deemed submitted for the to the plenary for its consideration, Mr. President.
Is there any objection? Chair hears none. The budget of the Office of the President and agencies is submitted for appropriate consideration.
Thank you. Mr. President, may we have a 1-minute suspension?
Session suspended.
Anong gusto niyo next? PSWD na? Simulan na natin? Sige. Sino bang naka-ano? Sino sa PSWD?
Arnel.
Congress muna. Mabilis lang ito eh. We're ready to resume, Mr. President.
Sessions resumed.
Mr. President, before the budget of the DSWD, I move that we tackle the budget of the Congress of the Philippines, the Senate Electoral Tribunal, Commission on Appointments, House of Representatives, the House of Representatives Electoral Tribunal. If you will note, I did not mention the Senate because there is a reservation for interpellation. So, maybe ask the sponsor to state the budgets of the Senate Electoral Tribunal, the CA, House of Reps, and the Electoral Tribunal of the House of Representatives.
Is there any objection? The motion is carried. We recognize the good sponsor once more, Senator Legarda. Itatong yung ano, Senate building.
Okay, kailangan tanong. Sige.
With the permission of the sponsor, Mr. President, I would like to state for the record the budget of the Senate Electoral Tribunal, 270,450,000. The Commission on Appointments, 659,325,000. House of Representatives, 7,236,000. The House Electoral Tribunal, 204,135,000. I will not state the total because the Senate of the Philippines is not included in my motion. So with that, Mr. President, I move that the budgets of the Electoral Tribunal, Commission on Appointments, House of Representatives, the House of Representatives and Tribunal, consideration.
Action. Chair hears carried.
President, I social welfare.
Is there any objection? Chair motion carried. Recognize the sponsor.
Yes, Mr. President, the majority read into the record of Congress and believe there are no interpretations. I move for it, Mr. President.
May we now recognize TB9? The SWD.
He
I was approval of the DSWD. Agency. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ngayon po ito, ilan yung executors ng WP?
WD sent all over ito ang DSW patayo sa lugar WD po ang nagpapatakbo pero meron po meron po sila natawag activity center sa Metro ay ilan Metro Manila activity nung hearing sa atin yun. Two activities in Metro and how many nationwide? Can you nationwide? Well, we're looking for the number of in LGU. They were built And you can funds for, yes. Mr. President, as you come from the local government, you know that WD centers, but it's built on land for LG, LGU. Sometimes we have a MOA where the SWD LGUs don't prioritize the welfare or elderly of the country. So, centers are far from being, the SDD is not from local governments in activities.
Is this for both or just activities? Yung MOA with the
MOA with LGU with activity center. Yes. The WD WD alone.
At capacity for centers.
Iba-iba. Depende. But total capacity do you have? It depending on the size center and the location. Total capacity is 4,600. That's already.
Or 4,000 then?
Yes, Mr. President.
Ilan ho dito yung first cents?
Yan ang pang-session. Oh, give me senior citizens, the 7. There are 5 cents, Mr. President.
5, and what is the 5 center?
Bakit kayo yung card? I actually have a list here for NCR. Say Chesville, the capacity 70. This is the elder. The capacity is 200. Marila 250.
Mr. President, when you say capacity, this means was population centers.
But the population always a bed capacity.
So for example,
there are those who sleep on the Mr. President. There are those who sucks. Sa hallway, President, tao ang ating pagtrahihirap at batang walang kutbong karaang dekad ay naraan po gobyerno laki-laki yung mundo ng ahalaan. Hindi po capital outlay ng ating WD centers. Billion to sport sa kalsasyon. Ibang understanding na ang gobyerno ay hirap ng handa na natutulog sa lapat na hindi tama. Siguro naman ay panahon para natin matao ang WD. Pangalawa po, dagdagan di SWD mas nagaling sa kalsa at sa ilang tulay na tutulad na nabibig ng krimen sa ang maaring nagaan arugain DSW.
Mr. Katulad po yung actual na doon tutulog.
Ang cap po ay 200, ang actual 280. Yung 85. Opo. 85. Can you please, hindi nyo hibigay naman. So, cases, 5 po, share beds. Pag matatanda, beds naman, sigurado ako, na yan, mga masasakit ng beds. Buy all new for the destroyed individual. For every person, we should see them as things. Not new society na tiyak sa isang sentence.
Mga instances ba that decline as senior citizen?
It is their policy, decline, Mr. President. Kaya po, per capacity po, magamat ito ay maski po budget na ay maliit. Maisip, bakit hinagyan yan? Ang sinasabi akin, walang hindi po alam na maraming pera, maraming sang, maraming hindi ginamit or suli po. Nung tinanong ko, tutulungan si Majority Leader JV yan ay tutulungan lahat ng 71 aayusin ang kisame, ang banyo, ang tubig, ang sewerage, may kama, unan, may tuwalya, may blanket, basic need. Let deprive, poor, and less children, underprivileged and men of our country, the big youth needs. And so, ask member prove whatever your committee proposed, both outlay for existing and construction of building to house poor of our country and to provide decent, nutritious, hot food.
It's about I agree. Siguro pa abandoned children, some exact bed capacity and what more.
Ay, naku. Sa Study Center for ang numero po 100 kakatabi sa kama din o sa floor chair beds. Dapat na ba sa press so the new everything okay. So 200 will share bubuntos terrible. That's why, Mr. President, the agent government to present their budget talaga nilang pangailangan. Ang nangyari po, EBM, sabi din na what the unless we know and reject down for some reason, it should be advised that committees of finance of houses we can so moving age capital who don't spend on school or roads and bridges can be built as we did organization of prisons. We put billion. And now I think I can read your hand for both play and fixtures with MO. CO din yun, kumot. MOE may portion Iayos nyo.
Siguro, maganda din malaman, magkano ba yung 2017, 18 for
CO. Ah, 27 GA has a rate of 357.68. Give me a report. Saan po CO pala? Social. Hindi, capital. Where did it go? Outlay, not go to service. President 57 68 17 NEP 0
18.
0 opo 307 this year 57 for how many centers please? 71 damit do bubong
President, tama dito yung new facility.
walang tinatayo yung new dahil wala po
I guess, when was the last ng bag Mr. President, DSW?
is shows a grace. Pero 2050 isang cottage wala po. Pinabayaan ang ansang ito ang ansya nga lagi hihirap. Kaya nga build tayo ng build. Ani natin ng build. Hirap naman. Kabay hirap. Expected. Hindi po maaari. We should build forest.
And kaya so, Mr. President, I'll be introducing an amendment. Siguro pwede kung kakaya the help of our finance chair, 1 billion funds for DSW.
Except in Senate version, Mr. President, we already 2 billion, but that is it has been neglected many years. And so the 7 years, additional center built in Metro Manila region, the country, we will appreciate your amendment of 1 billion. We just recommend to ascertain which will go to rehabilitation and new structure.
Okay.
We never
Alright.
mentioned land bank. So you probably have misinterpreted the provision. We said thrift banks, cooperative banks. Okay. Well, they claim maybe we should look back 10 years. Maybe since it's a 10-year program, in the beginning, dahil sobrang nag-iingat, land bank muna, it eventually evolved. So we'll see. But never mind, we don't blame anyone. Let's just make sure that the funds are secure but quick.
Okay.
Efficient and approved by COA.
Good. So we can find a remedy to this problem no. Now, kasi I'm bringing this out also because based on the audit observations of COA on the Office of the Secretary, DSWD, 2016, a total of 1.2 billion consisting of 2.5 million accounts of CCT, MCCT beneficiaries under the cash card mode with a balance ranging from 501 pesos to more than 50,000 pesos were not withdrawn from 30 to 2,190 days, bali 6 years,
Nasaan yung pera?
upon payout.
Nasaan yung pera?
So which it would indicate that there is no immediate, there is no, the sad part is, the indication is that there is no immediate need for financial assistance of these people, and we are casting a doubt on the eligibility of the chosen beneficiaries. Ba, hindi nila kailangan, di ba? And another 28,268 accounts with a total balance of 140 million
Ito yun.
have no date of last monetary activity but are still included in the list of beneficiaries.
Yes.
Baka...
I have the answer, Mr.
Di ba?
President.
Oh, yes, please.
With all due respect to the COA auditors, the supporting statements of this COA observation did not actually say that all accounts have a balance of more than 500 as quoted below. Aging showed that 2,433,518 accounts with total balances of 1.239 million were outstanding from 30 to more than 2,190 days, unquote. The statement merely attributed the 2.4 million accounts to be outstanding from 30 to more than 2,190 days. Reviewing the aging report provided by Land Bank, it may be noted that 1.549 million accounts of the 2.4 million have unwithdrawn balance equal to or below 500 pesos. Moreover, we have found 162 accounts had zero balances, and there's a table here, Mr. President. Considering the facts just mentioned, there are now only 194,198 non-moving accounts, or 8% of COA's figure of 2.4 million, which have more than 500 pesos balance and were unwithdrawn from 30 to 2,190 days. The department recognizes that the unwithdrawn balance amounting to 1.121B is unacceptable. Thus, we shall convene the National Advisory Committee to discuss and approve a forfeiture policy.
Very good, correct. Tama, that is the best move. And if you're going to do that, I congratulate you for that. I commend you for that. Now, did you answer that to COA?
Yes.
Ano sabi ng COA after you have given that answer?
Until the end of the year to transmit everything. So all the actions that we need to do, we are including
Yes.
in our report.
So this is a report in anticipation of your question. That's why I'm reading it into the record. And it will be submitted or has been submitted to COA.
It hasn't been submitted.
It has not been submitted to
We
COA,
have until the end.
but they have till the end of the year to fix everything. So as we can see, it's 8% of what COA actually said.
Okay, and then
It's
we will
also
await
good that
your...
COA has eagle eyes so that everyone's on their toes. But it's not that accurate, with all due respect to COA.
We have until the end of the year to
They have till the end of the year to complete
complete.
it, Mr. President.
Nevertheless, we will await your proposal on that 1
So till the end
billion
of the
over
year,
1
they
billion.
will deal with this COA
Yeah.
AOM, which is actually only 8%. Second, and they will convene the National Advisory Committee. Number two, they will, for forfeiture. And then second, they will deal with the procurement process of banks that are more efficient than Land Bank.
Therefore, itong 8% na to, na non-moving, did you update already? Ha? Updated na? Okay. So you regularly verify them?
Yes.
No?
Yes, Mr. President.
There's a monthly.
All right, very good. Moving on, the rice subsidy amounting to 23 billion was allocated for this year, no? How much of it has already been distributed as of the third
Rice.
quarter of this year?
Obligation rate ng rice subsidy, you have it?
So every time we make a payment, we
Kasama
add
yun.
600.
So the same obligation rate. Mr. President, it has the same obligation rate as the cash grant because it's part of the package.
Oh, yung proposed budget niyo for cash grants is increased, no? From 82, from 49.2 naging 82.
To 82, Mr.
Tapos
President.
mukhang kasama na yung rice subsidies doon.
Kasama
sinama
yung
ninyo.
rice subsidy.
Okay. So other than that factor, walang ibang reason na pagtaas. Yun ang main reason. All right. I think you were able to explain this already. How does the modified conditional cash transfer differ from the CCT program?
Ito yung mga
Children and families, di ba? Paano ba to?
Can I have definition? As I mentioned earlier, the 200,000 of the 4.4 million are under the modified cash transfer. And this modified conditional cash transfer is designed to reach out to families who are definitely poor, even more vulnerable and disadvantaged, and were left out in the implementation of the regular conditional cash transfer because of their being excluded in the enumeration of the National Housing Targeting System. Ito pong National Housing Targeting System, yung universe na pinagkukuhanan po ng data. Housing, kailangan may bubong over their head no matter how poor. Ito pong 200,000 na beneficiaryo, wala ngang roof over their head because they are transient, they're moving around. And so, they were left out in the implementation. So, now they're added, they're the 200,000 of the 4.4, and the MCCT, or the Modified Conditional CCT, aims to enable these families overcome barriers from enjoying the benefits of the government's social protection. At sinama po sila. Kailangan dagdagan natin itong mga homeless kasi yan ang mga nakakita sa kalsada, yan ang mga sama badyaw. Pag Pasko, nandiyan po yung mga Aita galing ng Central Luzon, yan ang galing Mindanao na sama badyaw. Na tuwing Pasko, nandiyan po sila, lalaboy-laboy sa kalsada. Dapat naman ang mga LGU, may kanya-kanyang program para dito rin. Di ba kayo? Anak mo nasa Quezon City, Mr. President. O kapatid mo nasa Makati, Mr. President. O kapatid mo nasa
If you're talking of the local government units,
oo, dapat.
Saan ba galing yung sila?
Ha?
Saan sila galing?
Sino po?
Anong probinsya galing?
Iba-ibang probinsya po. Ayan o, San Juan, Valenzuela, Makati, and Quezon City.
Hindi nga, pero saan sila galing?
Sino po?
Yung mga sinasabi mo, mga badyaw. Mga
sama badyaw. Di galing sa Tawi-Tawi ang mga sama. Ang badyaw galing sa
yung iba galing sa Pampanga.
Iba, ang mga Aita, galing po ng Pampanga at Tarlac at Zambales.
Kaya nga, tama yung sinasabi nyo, yung mga local government units at local government officials doon, dapat asikasuhin sila para hindi sila nagpupunta rito sa Metro Manila.
Yan ho yung 200,000. Pero yung iba pang mga street dwellers na galing po dito, maganda na talagang maigting ang pag-uugnayan ng local government at ng DSWD dahil hindi po kaya ng DSWD mag-isa. Mayaman ang Quezon City, mayaman ang Makati, mayaman ang mga local governments. Ang laki-laki nga ng surplus na daang-daang bilyon pisong surplus. Kailangan paglaanan ng local governments ang magagandang activity center para po sa DSWD at magkaroon ng cohesive na programa para sa social protection para hindi na mahirapan ang national na DSWD.
So, okay, sa MCCT, yun sila yung mga kasama, no? Okay, ngayon, dahil transient sila, hindi kaya nagdakadoble ang pagkakasali nila sa atin?
Hindi
Doon,
man.
meron na sila. Pagpunta nila rito, meron
Hindi.
pa uli.
Dahil naman po may mga pangalan yun eh. Maskisan po silang parte ng Pilipinas, di ba? Naka-database yun.
At reliable naman yung database na yan, mga pangalan na yan.
Siguro naman.
Siguro. Can you look into it also, ha? Tingnan nyo na rin. Alright. Now, okay. I have so many other issues, but I'll let the others discuss it. I'll just concentrate on one more. Just one more.
Just to add to the information, yung tinatanong po nyong MCCT, ano ba ito? Homeless street families. Indigenous people. Ayan,
Yes.
NCIP. Kailangan niya inaalagaan ng NCIP eh.
Correct,
Minsan
correct,
puro
correct.
sila patitulo ng lupa.
So, hindi naman-
wala silang programa sa programa ng lumalaboy na IP. And families in need of special protection. So yun po ang parang kategorya ng MCCT. Then I would request Senator Binay, who's chairing the IP committee, to ask this NCIP to have social protection for the very poor IPs. I've not heard them do anything for social protection for the IPs. Kaya nga, nakakainis,
Okay.
nakalaki ng budget.
All right. The Council for the Welfare of Children, CWC, is DSWD's attached agency, which is mandated to coordinate implementation and enforcement of all laws and to formulate, monitor, and evaluate policies, programs, and of course, measures for children. Now, currently, there is no law that exclusively protects children affected by armed conflict and children involved in armed conflict.
Wala bang law?
I have filed a bill entitled Special Protection in Situations of Armed Conflict, no? In armed conflict
Wala bang batas?
for children, no? Which seeks to protect the rights of the children in the areas of armed conflict. However, it's still in the committee level, no? So, while there is no law in effect, what are the current and future programs of the CWC to address this problem? Children affected by armed conflict. Sabi ko kay Cherry, sabi ko kay Cherry, sabihin ka na Cherry.
Meron po tayo.
I see. Monitor. So, monitoring lang talaga mandating?
Alright.
Ito pong CWC ay produkto ng EO. Ang kanilang trabaho po ay policy to monitor children caught in the midst of armed conflict. Ang mga data po nila ay binibigay sa DSWD na siyang pong nagpapatupad ng mga programa for psychosocial, addressing the psychosocial needs of children who are affected by armed conflict. But I am asking for more substantial programs and activities. They say that in evacuation centers, there's a feeding program, psychosocial needs. I'm not very convinced that it's we would like to, maybe you should, the DSWD should identify areas of armed conflict and create a program that would specifically address the displacement of children. For psychosocial, you should have a resident psychiatrist or child psychologist. Second, paano nyo kukupin ang mga bata na maaring nahiwalay o nakakita ng violence sa kanyang lugar. So may trauma yon na wala ang magulang, maaring namatay, maaring na-rape, nasaktan, etc. Marawi, for example. So we would like to have a clear intervention by the SWD for all children of Marawi, victims of Marawi. Do you have? And earmark it for the 2018 budget.
Parang wala tayong data tungkol dito. Bakit yung mga foreign,
Mas magaling
mga international
tama kayo.
correspondents, mga kung sino-sino, meron sila mga data ang binabanggit. Bakit ang DSWD wala nun?
Do you have data? Do you have data on children
O inimbento nila yun?
conflict? No, you should have. Do you have the data?
Meron? Submit nyo sa amin. No? Please submit to the Committee on Finance. Also, you submitted to the Committee on Finance a briefer. I was expecting this, Madam Sponsor, Mr. President. Mr. President, you're right. I was expecting a different answer, when I was asking for future programs. Doon sa sinabmit nilang briefer, meron sa programa nilo-launch for 2018 entitled Bangsamoro Umpungan sa Nutrisyon. Bangun. Di ba? Oh. Which will cater to children aged 0 to 12 years old who are vulnerable to getting sick because of malnutrition as a result of either extreme poverty or ongoing armed conflict in the region.
Yes.
Di ba?
I'm
The
glad you're
program,
mentioning that.
I think you're targeting 7,000 children and your budget is 156 million. Okay,
This is
so
a pilot
before
program.
jumping into this, please submit yung data na sinabi ko, tungkol sa Now, 7,000 children ang target nyo. How many of these children are affected armed conflict in Mindanao at hindi yung sa poverty lang? Kasi I want to know what is your basis for saying 7,000 rounded figure.
Mr. President, this Bangon program, it's the first time in the 2018 budget. It is a pilot program that will in part address the needs of children victimized by armed conflict. But it was not established only for that. It would have the nutritional needs of children and all the needs of families in that area. As mentioned by the program, it is a comprehensive community-based program that will address the issue of malnutrition, but it will also address those caught in the midst of armed conflict because it is located in the armed area.
So you will not be able to give me a figure of a percentage
CWC
kung
seems
sa
not
7,000 ilan ang malamang galing sa armed conflict? You would not have.
We will ask CWC to provide after lunch, since we are going to break for lunch and there are other interpellators, to give us, you better prepare, the list of all children who are victims of armed conflict in what regions, in what provinces, and what are your policies and interventions made. If not, craft one for the 2018 budget in anticipation of the enactment of the law.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you plan to go back, you plan to break for lunch now before we continue? Or you would want me to go on?
Please continue, then after you, we could have the other
All right.
interpreters.
After the minority leader is about ready.
I will answer your question, Mr. President. Well, if you could kindly finish your interpellation, and I will give you the data from CWC by 2:30.
You want me to stop?
No, you continue with the other questions, but since the information from CWC is not yet ready, before I
okay.
answer the minority leader's questions, I will answer the majority leader's
After the break.
questions after the break at 2:30. But
So
all your other
after I'm done, we'll go into break. Is that your
yes,
proposal,
we go
Mr.
into
President?
break, then I will
Okay.
give you the only remaining answer I cannot give now, which is a CWC program for the children in armed
Sige,
conflict.
sige. Okay, so tapusin ko na itong pilit, ha? How many Filipinos are disabled?
Ilan ang total disabled?
And how many are receiving or have been reached by DSWD programs?
Disability? Wala. Baka yung mga NGO disabled, meron sila. There's a rough estimate, Mr. President, of 1.5 million Filipinos who are disabled.
1.
0.5.
0.5.
But it's, I can't believe there is no data.
Naaabot lahat ito ng DSWD.
Natutulungan
Hindi.
na ba ng DSWD?
Mga how many percent na natutulungan natin ng DSWD dito?
under Pantawid, Mr. President, are 216,000.
4-piece.
Of the total
160,000.
4.3 Pantawid households, there are 216 or 4.97% with at least one household member with disability. And most of these are visually impaired household members, followed by multiple disabilities and orthopedic disabilities.
Eh, yung mga 1.3 na hindi kasama sa 4-piece. 1.5 eh. So about 216,000 is under the DSWD programs. Eh, yung iba, kanya-kanya. LGUs,
Perhaps
mga ganun.
LGUs,
Okay.
NGOs.
Alright. At pwede rin naman lumapit sa inyo. Di ba? Pwede rin lumapit sa inyo. Considering that this year's budget, you will be having an increase of 55%.
Oh, Mr. President, there are these DSWD centers?
From 47 to 133, di ba?
There
No. 85 pala, 85, sorry.
There are centers of DSWD for persons with disability, but only, ilan to? 4. National Vocational Rehabilitation Center, Area Vocational Rehab Center, Rehab Sheltered Workshop, Center for Handicap. 2 in NCR, and 1 in Region 12, 179. There are 8 centers for persons with disability. Kasama to sa ating gagawing ayusin natin ang mga lugar na.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Madam Sponsor, Mr. President. Also, according to the submitted report of the agency, the JJWC, Juvenile Justice and Welfare Council, plans to submit or plans to construct 4 bahay pag-asa in areas with high incidence of children in conflict with the law. Very good. Where are these 4? Anong lugar ang plano niyong paglalagyan itong 4 bahay pag-asa?
Sige. Okay. Ito po yung, what do you mean for consideration? It's already in the net. You're asking us to consider. No, ito lang ang tanong ko po. Ito po ay nandyan na sa net. Sige, okay. These are the areas for, it's in the GAB, right? Dapat, nandyan na yung pondo. For Naga, in Bicol,
Naga?
Karkar, Cebu,
Karkar.
Talisay, Cebu, 1 in Bohol Province, 1 in Zambo Norte,
Oh, ang dami yan.
1 in Zamboanga, 6. These are the LGUs that expressed
6, hindi 4.
6.
Ha?
Are these existing already or new construction? Or juvenile?
Existing ata yung sinasabi niyo eh. Hindi, build pa lang, will build.
Mr. President, these are the 6 who are interested or who may comply with the requirements of DSWD, but they have budgeted for 4. May criteria po sila pagpipilian.
So mayroong pagpipilian. Again, Naga, Karkar, Talisay, ano? Naga, Karkar, Talisay.
Bakit wala sa Iloilo? Kay
Ano pa?
May 2 Cebu. Naga, Bohol, Talisay, Karkar in Cebu, Zamboanga,
Bahol, Zamboanga.
Norte.
Ha?
at Zamboanga City.
Zamboanga and Zamboanga City?
Pinagpipilian po yung 6. Sabi ko,
Teka, Naga
Naga.
in Camarines. Naga in Camarines. Okay, and then Karkar, Talisay,
Karkar, Talisay, Bohol,
Bohol.
province, wala pang town.
Oh.
Zamboanga Norte, wala pang town.
Oh.
Zamboanga City.
Oh. Okay. Itong
They're
anim.
choosing 4 because
Pinagpipilian.
they say their budget, they're choosing 4, their budget is only for 4. I said
well,
that you will find the budget for 6
Well, we can... Ako?
as your amendment.
We oh, sure, yes. We can find a budget for 6. But if you're limited to 4, you can choose between Karkar and Talisay, only 1. And then you can choose between Zamboanga Norte and Zamboanga City, only 1.
Hindi, ang dami naman ng budget eh. At saka maraming mga batang nangangailangan.
Oh,
ng
gawing
lugar
6.
na ano. 6.
All right, we will find the budget for that.
These are partnerships with local governments. I am told, Mr. President, and the LGU will have their own counterpart.
Oh, okay.
Juvenile
Good.
Justice Center.
All right, please, after the budget, by next year, into the first quarter, while you're already doing this, please give our committee a briefer on how it's doing, an update on how it's doing, all right? Now, currently, how many children in conflict with the law are being housed in this existing Bahay Pag-asa?
$1,346, Mr. President.
All over the country.
Yes, Mr. President.
And you plan to build 6 more. Does this mean that there is a higher incidence of children in conflict with the law? It's getting higher? Is that your... or nagsisiksikan?
Yes, Mr. President, based on records, there is an increasing number of children in conflict with the law. And it's a very, very sad state of affairs in our
Yes.
because we have a growing population, because there's still, there's growing poverty, because while there's high GDP growth, it is not felt by the poorest of the poor, because we're not taking care of the poor.
Yes, and we're not successful in our rehabilitation program of drug dependence.
Yes.
Kaya nagkakaganyan. So we should have more concentration on
But
that.
most of these, Mr. President, I am told, are theft-related cases, crimes against property.
Okay.
More than 50%.
All right. Mr. President, there are several other observations that I would like to pose, but I'm sure the other members will take it up. And then there are also some audit observations that if I ask you to comment on each and every audit observation, we might take 2 or more hours. So I already took too much time. And
I would ask them, Mr. President, to submit to the committee their answer to each and every audit observation.
all right. No, let me just cut it short. How many of the COA recommendations have you complied with for the past year?
According to OIC, PLECO, they have addressed all the COA observations.
Oh, very good. So ongoing iba.
So they're aware
And you're
of it,
addressing
they're
it.
ongoing, yes.
All right. It's all right. Just a submission would be fine. It's all right. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you for
I will end my interpellation, and perhaps we can resume the interpellation of the minority leader on the budget of the DSWD after the break.
Majority Floor, with the kind indulgence of the sponsor, I have a few follow-up questions regarding the CCT, Madam. For next year, no, I think the train is more or less going to be implemented, how many additional cash transfers family or beneficiaries will we add to the current 4.4?
Mr. President, unfortunately, in their proposed budget, they are not adding a single poor family in the 4.4 million. And I asked them why. But there's a Department of Finance proposal.
Because in the proposed train bill, it's very clear that one of the cornerstone of that bill is to give out cash transfers to the near poor and below. No? And I think we discussed that extensively in one of the hearings. But how many is the final number of beneficiaries that will be added in that existing 4.4?
For when? 2018?
Pero para sa train, but not to
I don't understand. Not to add them in Pantawid.
Hindi po. 4.4 lang, Pantawid.
There's no the answer to your question is there is no additional family they did not add.
I think there's Madam Sponsor, I think there's a miscoordination between DOF and DSWD. And when we were discussing the train and DSWD was invited during that time, I think OIC LICO was also there. Again, one of the most important provisions and feature of the train bill is the cash transfer. But let me just, Madam Sponsor, let me just make a manifestation na lang, no? Because
Mr. President, you're referring to the train subsidy for the 5.6 million additional to the 4.4 million households being serviced under the 4-piece program. But this is not addition to the 4.4 million. This is an identified 10 million poor families, 4.4 million of whom are under the 4-piece. But the 5.6 that will be subsidized from the train funds will not be addition to the 4-piece program, but will be a train subsidy to the 10 million poor as part of the National Household Targeting System.
yes, from what I understand, there's an existing 4.4 in which we will add 5.6 to make it 10.
Pero
Tama
hindi
po
po
ba?
ibig sabihin yung 5.6 ay sakop ng Pantawid program. Bakit ganun?
But nevertheless, it will be DSWD who will be implementing this. So regardless kung anong tawag ho doon, DSWD, babagsak ho to sa opisina ng DSWD. And my point here is, after hearing the majority floor leader, may problema pa ho tayo sa cash card, may problema pa ho tayo doon sa mga non-moving accounts. And then you will add 5.6 million families again, no? And this will be launched, if I'm not mistaken, in the next 3 months. So by January of 2018, an additional of 5.6 million families will be added into the system. So my point, Madam Sponsor, is, are we ready? Is this WD ready to accommodate an additional of 5.6 million families?
Sa train. Ito yung sa train. It will not even pass by the SWD. Mr. President, the cash transfer program from the train bill will not even be lodged in the DSWD. It will go directly to the land bank. It will just use the data from DSWD to be given directly to the poor.
But who will administer? I don't think
The land bank.
Land Bank will administer
Yes.
the 5.6 million families.
Yes. That's what the memo says, right?
But I think Land Bank is not a social services entity. Somebody should determine who will be qualified,
But your admin
who will be the beneficiaries of this cash transfer. Madam Sponsor, how much are we
Mr.
going?
President, let me clarify. The 4.4 million families was not adjusted or increased
Right.
pending their verification of the records. Gusto nilang ayusin po. Fair. They're being conservative. Second, the 10 million you mentioned from the train subsidy will be based on the data of DSWD, but will go straight to the land bank, and land bank will implement it.
Right.
Will be the conduit.
Yes, land bank is the conduit,
For
but the
cash,
administrator
and
will
there's an
be...
administrative fee lodged in the budget of the SWD, which was slashed by the House. Hay nako.
So in other words, Madam Sponsor,
So
we
we
have
have to
already located, qualified the 5.6 million families. They are already identified, vetted.
Yes, we have the poor. Mr. President, we have the data of the poor. That's with the SWD. And that is a data that will be used by the land bank for the train subsidy.
So meron na ho tayong address kung nasaan po nakalocate itong 5.6 million families po. And that should be by in January ho, matitrigger na
They
ho yung
have the
distribution.
database, but they're subject to validation. That's the reason why they did not increase their 4.4.
Yes, they did not increase the 4.4, but the train calls for the increase. Yung po ang...
No, Mr. President, the train did not call, the DOF did not call for the increase of the 4.4. It is a subsidy that's different from the 4-piece program.
Yes, yes, understand.
but
It's an
they-
unconditional cash transfer.
It's not 4-piece addition. It's a subsidy to the poor, but not 4-piece.
Yes, yes. It's not. It's a different program. Nevertheless, from what I understand, it's still the DSW who will identify, vet,
Kayo ba?
administer the 5.6. Land Bank is only the conduit.
Final. Mr. President, nothing is final. They were just informed. They're still discussing, and they're exploring it, but nothing is
Yeah.
final.
Madam Sponsor, I would just like to manifest, no, because 3 months silang ho ang natitira, OIC. So, and again, no, the train is, from what I understand, is going to be approved. And part of the most important feature of the train is that cash transfer program. But if we cannot give the cash transfer program immediately, then it defeats the purpose of shielding the near poor from the inadvertent increase
Yeah.
in oil prices.
May
So,
I read into the record, Mr. President, the exact NEP and GAB, carried in the GAB, no? Subsidy for the tax reform cash transfer project. The amount of 24,487,867,000 pesos appropriated herein as subsidy for the tax reform cash transfer project shall be used by the Land Bank to grant cash transfer support to the bottom 50% poorest households identified by the DSWD based on the list of beneficiaries registered in the National Housing Targeting System for Poverty Reduction or listahan in order to mitigate the moderate and temporary increases in prices due to the enforcement of the comprehensive tax reform program. The release of funds shall be subject to the submission of project mechanics and components which shall include the selection criteria for beneficiaries and such other factors in the implementation of the project. So, it's the Land Bank that shall submit to DBM, House and the Senate, the reports on the utilization of funds, not the DSWD.
Right.
And according to DSWD, they are still talking with DOF about this, but it's really going to be lodged in the Land Bank. They simply utilized the data of DSWD.
Senator De Leon is recognized.
Yes, I wish to intervene just on the point being raised by our presiding officer. You know, the statement that this will be administered by the Land Bank is more theoretical than being realistic.
Let me clarify.
5.6 million to be using the National Housing, National Household,
Targeting system.
whatever that was. That's 5.6 million to be administered by the Land Bank. You know, just to identify this 5.6 million, You cannot say that it is in this national household targeting system list. They are all over the Philippines. Number two, the land bank does not have that facility in every nook and corner.
I'll clarify, Mr. President. The administration fee, it will be administered by the SWD, not Land Bank. All I'm saying, the money is lodged with Land Bank, and I read into the record the special provision in the GAB, the NEP and the GAB, that it's Land Bank using the data, but the administration fee is lodged in the DSWD, which was slashed in the House. That's what I said.
Well, I just joined the chair in expressing very serious doubts about the ability of the land bank to distribute among 5.6 million families. The DSWD, with its army of implementers, is taking time because of the requirements. And they have been doing this for the last, 7 years? I know because I defended the budget of the DSWD the first time this was implemented.
But my, okay, I share your concern, because if Land Bank has a problem with implementing the 1.8 million of the 4.4,
Yeah.
now they will
Yes.
implement the 5.6 million.
Yeah.
But according to the SWD, they are still in talks with DOF on their participation in this tax subsidy.
So, in other words, there is nothing certain that the subsidy under the train, which is the foundation or cornerstone of this train tax package, can be implemented, because as the sponsor admitted, Land Bank is having difficulty already in the distribution among 1.8 million Filipino beneficiary,
It should
family
be spread
beneficiaries.
among other banks.
And you add to that burden 5.6 in a span of 3 months, and to finish I understand from the train as presently crafted, this will be for 12 months. I think we better be more realistic and really be candid and put on the record the difficulties of implementing such an ambitious cash program, such as what is being contemplated.
Yes. I
Talagang-
understand, and I agree. Kasi nga, Mr. President, yung tinanong nga ni Majority Leader, yung cash cards, yun ang major concern among the many concerns. Of the 4.4, may 1.8 million ang ginagawa ng Land Bank. That's insofar as 4Ps is concerned. Now, the 5.6 will be given to Land Bank 24 billion from the train revenues to be the cushion or the impact sa pagtaas ng presyo ng gamit, ng bilihin. Na sila pa rin ang administrator, but the 1 billion administration fee was slashed by the House in the GAB. So it was slashed by 2 issues. Slashed by the House, the inability of Land Bank to even do the 4Ps of 1.8, and then we are putting 5.6, which is not 4Ps, but still a cash subsidy. So how do we do that? I will leave it to you to help
Exactly,
me.
Madam Sponsor. If we earlier, the majority floor pointed out that there's a problem with Land Bank, and yet we're now putting an additional 24 billion to Land Bank. Parang parang pinupokpok ho natin sarili natin sa ulo. No, but maybe on the proper time we will propose some amendments, and I think it's a realization that executing this ambitious project is not going to be easy. Take into consideration that there is 3 months left to execute this project. I think
Yes, Mr. President, I move that we suspend session until 2 p.m. for our lunch break.
hold on.
This is really a major issue, and it goes beyond me as chairman of finance. It concerns the train bill as well, because this funding subsidy lodged in Land Bank of 24 billion, if it cannot be implemented, will be a waste. So we have to make a decision. Will we leave it there in Land Bank? Should we amend it to include other financial institutions? Or do you want it cut and zero budget for this cash subsidy? I leave it to the judgment of the chamber.
Madam
Help me.
Sponsor, it's obvious that if we download it to Land Bank, our hands will be tied. And we
200
cannot
pesos.
move around.
Imagine, this is 200 pesos. 24 billion pesos of 200 pesos as how will Land Bank do that? Honestly, they cannot. Kung yung 1.8 billion, 1.8 million families nga nahihirapan na sila. So it is not logistically doable, possible. And as always, I thank the minority leader for his brilliant interventions.
Yeah,
So,
you know,
the
precisely,
minority leader
Mr.
will help us
President.
decipher this.
Mr. President, the reason why Land Bank could only service 1.6 million and 1.8 million out of that 4.6 million in the
4.4.
4.4 million in the present 4-piece program, because they do not have the capacity to service the rest. I know that they even contact pawn shops as conduits and so they just do not have that capability. Now we are saying 4.6, 5.4 million more families and dump it on Land Bank. This is, as I said, this is not realistic.
Ilagay natin saan? Huh? We can, I leave it to your better judgment. Help me decide. The minority leader can think we still have time until the amendments, or where to put the 24 billion in Land Bank. Land Bank will not be able to do it. We should open it to other banks.
Madam Sponsor, I think we can also ask the SWD the recommendations. I remember
Well,
during the hearings.
OIC is a professor of public finance in AIM. He will help us solve it.
Yes, the secretary has all the brilliant ideas, but I'm sure deep in his heart he knows this cannot be done, given what we have. And depositing it with another bank, I don't know if we can do that, as I do not know that we can deposit public funds in private banks. So we join the motion of Senator Ejercito that we suspend session and take the budget again at 2:30 this afternoon of the DSWD.
Is there any objection?
Sige po.
Hearing none,
Okay.
the session suspended until 2 p.m.
Sige.
Until 2:30 p.m. Sulat ko dito.